Hello everybody, welcome back. This is video number 3 in our pin cushion series. Today we're making a Scrappy Selvage Edge quilted pin cushion. This probably is one of my most favorite styles of pin cushions. There's no pattern, there's no exact measuring. We're just having fun with some leftover scraps and salvage edges. Let me show you what I'm working with. So on my table, I keep this great big coffee can and in it, I put all of my salvage edges when I'm trimming up yardage, fabric for my quilts, my quilt blocks. I put all of these yummy scraps into this coffee container on my work table. It's just filled with random strips of fabric, offcuts from my blocks, all kinds of yumminess. Sometimes I even put scraps of binding, leftover binding. So you know what? We're not measuring, we're not pre-cutting anything. I'm just pulling out strips from that can. You can make your pin cushions however long, however wide you want. I will be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance when sewing these strips together. I'm not ironing anything. In between seams, I'm just chain piecing some strips together and finger pressing as I go along. I have not yet determined how big I want this pin cushion to be. Right now I'm just having fun sewing some scraps together. When I get 2 or more together, I'll finger press them open and then join them together with a seam. And I'm just gonna keep on sewing and having fun until I get to a size that I'm happy with. There's no stressing out with this pin cushion. You don't have to worry about your 1/4 inch seam allowance being exact and perfect. Some of my most fun projects are exactly just like this. So I'm just going to keep adding some scraps from my coffee can until I get to a size that I like. Once I do, I'm going to bring this over to the iron and then I will press it nice and flat. And I'll press all my seams to one side. You could press them open if you wanted to. I'm going to use some steam just to flatten everything down nice and flat. Once it's all pressed, we're going to move over to the cutting mat and I'm going to square this up. This is the point where I'll determine how big I want my pin cushion to be. Totally customizable to whatever size you want. And this extra little piece that's left over is going back in the coffee can. So nothing is wasted and we're using up all of these valuable scraps. Just squaring this up. I'm going to find a little scrap of batting. I keep all of my extra bits of batting left over from my quilts for projects just like this. Once I've layered my pin cushion top onto my batting, this is a thin 80/20 batting. Now I'm going to spend some time and do some straight line quilting, just stitching in the ditch where I've joined all of my pieces. This is totally optional if you don't want to quilt your pin cushion, but I love the texture that the quilting gives to the pin cushion. So it's totally worth going back in and doing some quilting. Once I've quilted all the seams in that direction, let's take a look. Ooh, it's looking so pretty. I think I'm going to go back the other way and do some straight lines in the other direction. Once you're done with all of your quilting and you're completely satisfied with your quilted look, let's bring it back over to the cutting mat. I'm just going to clean up all of the batting that hangs over the edges, all the way around on all four sides. Ooh, this is shaping up so pretty. Now I'm going to find the perfect fabric to use for the back. We're going to jump over to the sewing machine. We're going to put pretty sides facing each other and sew all the way around all four sides with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, making sure to leave an opening so that you can turn this right side out. Once you're done sewing, we're going back to the cutting mat one more time. We're just going to trim away the extra bulk from the backing, trimming one more time, and then I'm going to take a pair of scissors and trim those corners to reduce the bulk in the corners when we flip it. That just helps your corners be a little bit more pointy. And now we're going to turn this pin cushion right side out. Now, because I'm running out of walnut shells, I've made a lot of pin cushions the last couple of days. I'm going to use a mixture of rice and walnut shells in this pin cushion to fill this pin cushion. Just poking out those corners. Poke, 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 poke. We'll flatten it out nice and pretty. Turn that opening seam right in there. And now we can fill our pin cushion. So I have my funnel, and this is all that I have left of my walnut shells. So again, I will be using half walnut shells and half rice. I'm going to start with the rice and then top it off with the walnut shells. And now I will use a needle and some thread to just hand sew the opening closed. The smaller your stitches, the better sealed your opening will be, and less chance of that fine little crushed walnut shells seeping out of your opening. I'm going to skip right through hand sewing because we've already covered that in video 1. And it takes me forever, y'all. So here I am just closing up that opening with the needle and thread. I like to bury my needle in there, trim the thread, and here we go, a salvaged edge scrappy quilted pin cushion. She's got a good, nice bit of weight to her. She grabs those pins really well and holds them in there. The walnut shells will help sharpen your pins as you use your pin cushion. What a great way to utilize your scraps and have some fun, non-stressful sewing machine time. These make perfect gifts. I love projects with salvage edges. There's something about them that I absolutely love, so I always save them. Isn't that pretty? Thank you so much for watching video number 3. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.